Hello everyone, welcome back to Gradeup. My name is Himanshu Mittal and till now we have studied the basics of probability and today we will see probability distribution functions. So let's start probability distribution function. Before seeing what is a probability distribution function, we should be aware with the term random variable. What is a random variable? Suppose we are throwing two dice, dice A and dice B. Now these two dice will give some outcome, means either this will give either 1 to 6 and this will also give 1 to 6, but we are not we don't want their single result, we want the sum of their output. Suppose this gives 1 and this gives 5, so the sum of these two dice is 6. We don't want these outputs, we just want the sum of these two dice. So this is a random variable. What is the random variable here? Sum of two dice is a random variable. Okay, while 1 and 5 are just the outputs of two dice. Okay, now there are two types of distribution functions. First is continuous probability distribution function and second is discrete distribution function. See, this example of sum of two dice that we have seen just now is the example of discrete distribution function. Why? Because the sum can only be an integer function, so it is a discrete value. Sum can be either 2, 3, 4 up to 12. So this is a discrete distribution function. While suppose you have a 500-liter bottle of Pepsi, suppose. Now you want how much is the level of the Pepsi at a certain time. Suppose it is 300 ml out of 500 ml. Now what is the random variable here? First of all, random variable is the volume of the Pepsi at a certain time. Okay, and this is a continuous function because this volume can be 300.1, 300.2, 300.5, any value up to from 0 to 500. So this is a continuous random variable and this is a discrete random variable. Clear to everyone? What is the difference between continuous and discrete random variable? Now see the properties of the discrete distribution function. Properties. First of all, sigma px, this is the first property, is equal to 1. This is the first one. Distribution function, this is f, sorry, this is not p. This is a distribution function f. Now, if we sum all the distribution functions, means probability of getting sum 2, probability of getting sum 3, up to probability of getting sum 12. If we means add all these probabilities, then that probability sum is equal to 1. Second property is, what is the mean of those probabilities? Mean is x into fx sigma, means x is the output and fx is the distribution function. So x is multiplied with fx and we take the sum of those all the outputs. Third is variance. Vx is the variance of random variable x. Variance is ex square minus ex whole square. This is the variance of the distribution function. Now we have talked about the properties of discrete function. What about the properties of continuous function? Properties of continuous distribution function. Okay, see those parallel. Here sum is 1, here also sum is 1, but sum here is represented by integral and integration is from minus infinite to infinite. This is a continuous, that's why we have taken the integration. In discrete, integration is replaced with summation only. Second property is f integration of fx from minus infinity to some variable x. Integration of, sorry, this is dx here also because we are integrating. So integration from minus infinity to some value x is equal to fx. See the difference here. This is small f. Small f is the probability distribution function and capital F is the capital F is the cumulative distribution function, CDF. CDF. What is the full form? Cumulative distribution function. It is from minus infinite to x. Third property. Third property is also from here. What is the mean of? Mean is represented by Ex, and mean is equal to x into fx dx, and integration is from minus infinite to infinite only. Fourth property is same, variance of the random variable x. This is again equal to Ex square minus Ex whole square. This is the fourth property. So in continuous distribution function there are 4 properties, and in discrete there are 3 only. You can write down all these properties. You can pause the video and write down all the properties. Now look at some of the discrete distribution functions. There are types of discrete distribution functions. Okay, what are the types? First type is general discrete function. What is the general? General is simply general, like as I have taken the example twice, the example of sum of 2 dices. This is a general discrete distribution, because we are only, this is a general, like suppose sum can be 2, 3, 4, 5, 12, up to 12. This is general. Why? If the values can only be 2, either success or failure, then it can be another random variable. But here the values can be any value from 2 to 12. So this is a general. It can be any. Okay. While second is binomial distribution function. What is binomial? In binomial, there are two properties. One is either of success, or second is of failure. Now, suppose there is one product and one company is manufacturing that product. Suppose the product is a bottle. Now, that company's, the product which is producing can be either correct, means it can be of standard quality, or it can't be of standard quality. It can be passed, this bottle can be passed or fail. So there are only 2 probabilities. The pass probability is suppose 11 by 12, and fail probability will be 1 by 12. Now suppose this company is producing thousands of bottles, lakhs of bottles. Then if we have to find the probability of suppose what is the probability that 2 bottles are defected out of 10 bottles, and the probability of pass is 11 by 12 and the probability of failure is 1 by 12, then that problem can be solved with the help of binomial distribution function. What is the formula? First we will see the distribution. Distribution will be like NCX P to the power x Q to the power n minus x. This is the probability of x. What is x here? X is the number of bottles that we are doing experiment on. Suppose we are doing experiments on 2 bottles only, so x will be 2. N is the total number of bottles. P is the probability of passing, and Q is the probability of failure. Now I am writing all these things. N is total number, P is success probability, and what about Q? Q is the failure probability. If P is success and Q is failure, then P plus Q is equal to 1 only. Then Q is equal to 1 minus P. So you can replace Q here with 1 minus P. This is the the binomial distribution function. Okay, clear to everyone? Since we have seen the probability distribution binomial distribution function, let's see what is the mean of binomial and variance of binomial function. Mean is equal to n into p. N is the total number of items and p is the success probability, and variance Vx is equal to npq, or it can also be written as np into 1 minus p. Q is the probability of failure, so this is equal to np into 1 minus p. You have to remember these two values for binomial distribution function. This is for binomial. Okay, these are two very important formulas that you have to remember for binomial distribution functions. Let's come to the next distribution function, that is Poisson distribution function. This is the third discrete distribution function, Poisson. This function can also be a subpart of binomial distribution function. Why? Because it is a special case of binomial function only. See how. There are two conditions. First is n should be very large. N is the total number of items. So if n is in lakhs, then this Poisson distribution function is to be used instead of the means binomial distribution function. So n should be very large, and second is p should be very small. P is the probability of success. P should be very small. So it can be of the range of 0.05, 0.04. It can be of range of less. It should be less than 0.05 only. Okay, so p is very small and n should be very large. Then what is the Poisson distribution function? Poisson distribution function then will be equal to probability of x is equal to lambda to the power x into e to the power minus lambda divided by lambda factorial. How we taken this formula? It is the sum of all the values till means I told you the formula for binomial distribution functions, that is ncx into p to the power x into q to the power n minus x divided. That is the formula. If we do that formula for very large n and very small p, then we get this formula. Derivation is also there, but that is not required from the competitive exam point of view. That's why I have written the formula here directly. Now, what about the mean? Since I have told you this is the special case, so this is equal to np only. But in this function, there is neither n neither p. So how it can be np? I didn't tell you about what is the lambda here. What is lambda? Lambda is nothing but n into p, or this is the average number of occurrences of an event. Number of occurrences of event. Average number of. So lambda is equal to np, that is equal to average number of occurrences of event. So here ex is equal to np and np is equal to lambda. So the mean of Poisson distribution function is nothing but lambda. What about the variance? Variance is npq for binomial distribution function, but np is here lambda for Poisson into q. Since I have told you p is a very small number, if p is very small, then q is equal to 1 minus p, and p is very small, then this is approximately equal to 1. So if q is approximately equal to 1, then this can be written as lambda only. So here in Poisson distribution function, ex is equal to variance, mean is equal to variance is equal to lambda. This is a very important application. In many questions this formula is asked. This is a very important formula. Okay, so let's see a question on Poisson distribution function. What is the question? A certain company sells tractors which fail at a rate of 1 out of 1000. So P is equal to 1 by 1000. Okay, 500 tractors are purchased from this company. N is equal to 500 because this is the total number of tractors that are purchased. What is the probability of 2 of them failing within first year? X is equal to 2 because we have to find the probability of 2 of them failing. So 2 of them failing is the probability we have to find. So I have told you P is the probability of success, but here I am taking P as the probability of failure. Why? Because X, what is the probability that we have to find, is the main P. So we have to find the probability of failure. That's why P is the probability of failure that we are taking. Clear to everyone why I am taking P as the probability of failure? Okay, so P into N into P is equal to lambda is equal to 500 divided by 1000. So this is 0.5. Okay, now Poisson distribution function is given by e to the power minus lambda into lambda to the power x divided by x factorial. So this is equal to e to the power minus 0.5 into 0.5 to the power 2 divided by 2 factorial. You can solve this function and you will get 0.08 as the answer. This is equal to 0.08. So the probability of 2 of them failing within first year is 0.08. So this is a very simple question. You just have to take P as a probability of failure, and you got why I am taking P as this. Okay. Now since the discrete distribution function is over, we will see continuous distribution function. And most of the questions are asked from this topic, continuous distribution function. And this is also very important. For electronics engineers, this is a very important topic, since many questions are asked in the communications also from continuous distribution function. So first we will see, first of continuous distribution function is, first is uniform distribution. Second is exponential distribution, and third is normal distribution. Normal distribution is also known as Gaussian distribution. So we will see these three distributions one by one, and all these three are the important ones. But before seeing these three distributions, we will see directly one question on continuous distribution functions. Like I will tell you the question after this slide. But what will the question about is, I have told you the properties of the continuous distribution function, and what is the mean of a continuous distribution function is x into fx integration from minus infinite to infinite. This is the mean I have told you. So just remember this formula, and what is ex square, then ex square will be x square into fx dx. So only you have to remember this formula, and next question will be solved automatically. So let's see the question. Consider the continuous random variable with probability distribution function ft is equal to 1 plus t. Ft is equal to 1 plus t from minus 1 to 0. Okay, minus 1 to 0, both included. Then ft is equal to 1 minus t for 0 to 1. This is our probability distribution function that is given. Okay, what is the standard deviation of this random variable? Okay, now how to find the standard deviation? First we have to find the variance, and then we will find the standard deviation. Standard deviation is just the square root of the variance. So how to find the variance? Variance can be found by first we have to find et square first to find the variance. What is et square? Et square is t square into ft dt, and integration is from minus infinite to infinite. So let's put the limits. T square into 1 plus t dt, limits from minus 1 to 0, plus t square into 1 minus t dt and limits from 0 to 1. Now let's solve this. We get t square plus t cube. T square integration is t cube divided by 3 plus t to the power 4 divided by 4. Limits from -1 to 0 plus t to the power 3 divided by 3 minus t to the power 4 divided by 4, 0 to 1. This is equal to 0. If we put 0, this is 0. If we put -1, we get 1 by 3 minus 1 by 4. Okay. Plus 1 by 3 minus 1 by 4 minus 0. This is nothing but 2 by 3 minus 1 by 2, and this is equal to, taking denominator as 6, we get 4 minus 3. This is 1 by 6. 4 by 6 minus 3, yes, this is equal to 1 by 6. So ET square is equal to 1 by 6. Okay, I am rubbing here, just remember ET square equals to 1 by 6. Let's write it here. ET square equals to 1 by 6. Now we will find ET. ET is mean of the random variable. Mean is equal to t into ft dt integration from minus infinite to infinite. So this is equal to t into 1 plus t dt, limits from -1 to 0, plus, because it is from -1 to 0, you know na, and limits from 0 to 1, we get t into 1 minus t dt. Okay, let's solve this. We get t square divided by 2 plus t cube by 3, limits from -1 to 0, plus t square by 2 minus t cube by 3, limits from 0 to 1. Putting limits, we get 1 by 2 minus 1 by 2 plus 1 by 3 plus 1 by 2 minus 1 by 3. So this gets cancelled with this with this, we get answer as 0. So the mean of this random variable is equal to 0. ET is 0. What about the formula of variance? Variance is given by ET square minus ET whole square. So this is equal to 1 by 6 minus 0. We get variance as equal to 1 by 6. If variance is 1 by 6, standard deviation sigma is under root 1 by 6. So the standard deviation of this random variable is 1 by 6. This is simply a calculation question, nothing else. Just you have to know what is the mean, what is the variance, what is the standard deviation, and just solve this. Okay. Let's come to the next distribution function, that is exponential distribution function. Okay, what is exponential distribution function? This is directly I am writing first what is the function. Fx is equal to lambda into e to the power minus lambda x. This is the probability distribution function of exponential function, where x is greater than 0. Okay. Now the mean of this function, just write all three things. The three important things of any distribution function is the distribution function itself, the mean of the function, and third one is variance. Write the all three things of any distribution function in a separate notebook or in your short notes. This is very helpful at the time of the final examination, just before the gate examination, or any, if you are taking ESE or bar, ISRO, any examination, these are very handy. Ex is equal to 1 divided by lambda. Mean is 1 by lambda. What about variance? Variance is 1 by lambda square. So these three are the important terms. Now let's see one question on the exponential distribution function. So the question is, find the mean and variance of exponential distribution fx is equal to c into e to the power minus x minus a divided by b, x minus a divided by b, where x is greater than a. Okay, this is the given. what we have to find? We have to find the mean and the variance of this exponential function. First we have to find the relation between a, b and c. How? We know integration of fx dx from minus infinite to infinite is equal to 1. So let's apply this formula. C into e to the power minus x minus a divided by b dx, integration from a to infinite. Why from a to infinite? Because it is given x is greater than a, then only this is the distribution function. Before a it is equal to 0. So this is a to infinite. We get this is equal to 1 only. So 1 is equal to, integrating we get c into b minus cb into e to the power minus x minus a divided by b. Limit from a to infinite. Putting the limits, we get, if we put infinite, this is equal to 0, and if we put a minus a is 0, e to the power 0 is 1, so this is minus 1. So bc, 1 is equal to bc and c is equal to 1 divided by b. So we get the relation between b and c only. A is independent of all these three. So c is equal to 1 by b, we will put here. So the function we get is 1 divided by b into e to the power minus x minus a divided by b. This is the function. Now we have to find the mean. Mean is equal to x into fx dx, integration from a to infinite only, because x is greater than a again. Now x into 1 by b e to the power minus x minus a divided by b dx. Okay, 1 by b I am taking outside. Now this is of the form x into e to the power minus x. So we have to apply the by parts only. So taking by parts, x as it is, integrating this, if we integrate this we get minus xb e to the power minus x minus a divided by b, minus differentiation of x is 1, integration of this is minus of minus b e to the power minus x minus a divided by b, integration again. This is what we get. Now again integrating this part, we get, I am opening the bracket here, we get minus x into e to the power minus x minus a divided by b, we get here plus integration of e to the power minus x minus a divided by b is, b will come in the numerator, then we get minus b into e to the power minus x minus a divided by b. Okay, just this. Now putting the limits from a to infinite. Okay, if we put infinite, this is 0 only, e to the power minus infinity is 0, this is again 0, so this is 0. And if we put a, we get a e to the power a minus a is 0, so we get minus a, minus, since a is in the denominator, a is the lower limit, so we get minus a minus b into e to the power 0 is again b minus b. So this is equal to a plus b. Mean is equal to a plus b. Now since we have find the mean of the mean of the function, that is equal to a plus b, now we will move towards the variance of this function. To find the variance of the function, we have to first find ex square. Ex square is x square into e to the power minus x minus a divided by b into dx. Integration from a to infinite again, Now if we solve this, we will get a square plus 2ab plus 2b square. You can solve it on your own and you will get this answer. Now variance is given by ex square minus ex whole square. Okay, so ex square is this, a square plus 2ab plus 2b square minus ex, as we have find out, it is a plus b. A plus b whole square is equal to a square minus a square, it will be 0, 2ab minus 2ab, then again we get 0, and 2b square minus b square is equal to b square. So the variance of this function will be b square, and the mean we have find out to be a plus b. So in this question you just have to solve this calculation, you will get this. I can solve this, but we have to apply 2 times integration by parts, and this will get lengthy. If you have any problem, then I will solve in the Q&A section for you. Otherwise you can solve this, I am sure the answer will be this only. So I have just already started the exponential distribution function, then I remember I forgot to told you about the uniform distribution function. So let's see quickly about uniform distribution function. This is a very simple function. Suppose the random function is from a to b, and this value will be equal to 1 divided by b minus a. Okay, this is the function. So fx will be 1 divided by 1 b minus a. Now what will the, I am writing fx is equal to 1 divided by b minus a from a to b. Okay, this can be included or not be included, it doesn't matter. Now what will be the mean? Mean will be equal to sum of these two endpoints a plus b divided by 2. This will be the mean. And what about the variance? Variance will be b minus a whole square divided by 12. If you solve, means if you derive, then only you will get these two only, and you can derive it easily. How? X into x divided by b minus a dx. If you integrate from a to b, you will get a plus b by 2 only. I am not deriving. This is a very simple distribution function. And the third and final continuous distribution function is normal distribution function. What is this? Fx is given by, write it carefully, 1 divided by under root 2 pi sigma square. Sigma square is within the under root only. 1 divided by under root 2 pi sigma square exponential minus x minus mu whole square divided by 2 sigma square. What is sigma and what is mu here? Ex, that is mean. Mean of this function is equal to mu. And what about the variance? Variance is equal to sigma square. Sigma is only the standard deviation and variance is sigma square. So this is the distribution function. We draw this function as like this. We know at the mean value, the value means at the mean value the probability distribution function will have 1 by 2 probability here and 1 by 2 probability on the right hand side. So this mean value is mu, and this will be at the peak, because this is the so what we calculate symmetric. This is symmetric graph, so the probability will be 1 by 2 before this and after this, means on left hand side and right hand side. So this is mu. And what does variance represent? In the probability lecture I told you variance represents the dispersion of the graph. This is the dispersion of the graph. So we can't directly represent sigma, but this represents sigma variance. If this graph is like some other value, like if this graph is more steep, then sigma will be more. If this graph is less steep, then sigma will be less. Okay. Let's see one question on the Gaussian distribution function. And remember one thing, this x is from minus infinite to infinite, minus infinite to infinite only. X is everywhere, minus infinite to infinite. Okay, so the question is, the value of the integral I is equal to 1 divided by under root pi, 1 divided by under root 2 pi. Okay, exponential minus x square divided by exponential minus x square divided by dx, and integration is from 0 to infinite. This is the question. By seeing the question, if you directly started solving, then you will not get the answer, because you have to see that this question is from not from the integration, this question is from the probability, and in the specifically from probability distribution function. If you break it, then this function can be written as 1 divided by 2 pi sigma square, similar to minus infinite to infinite. So leave this leave minus infinite to infinite. For once leave this. Exponential minus x minus mu whole square divided by 2 sigma square. So what is sigma here? 2 sigma square is equal to 8. So sigma is equal to 2. Okay. Sigma is equal to 2. And what about mu? X square is here in the question. So mu is equal to 0. To match this integral with this standard form, we have to make it like I is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi, sigma square will be 4, so 1 divided by 2 pi into 4. If I am dividing by 4, then in the numerator also there will be under root 4, so under root 4 is 2 only. And exponential minus x minus 0 whole square divided by 2 into 2 square. This is the function. Now one property you know about probability distribution function is, if we integrate the probability distribution from minus infinite to infinite, we will get answer as 1. Let's integrate this from minus infinite to infinite. This will be equal to 1 only, because this is the Gaussian distribution function only. Now in the question, limits are from 0 to infinite. If we change the limits from 0 to infinite, we have to multiply, means we have to divide with 2. Why? Since the mean is 0 here, in this question mean is 0, so the graph will be like this. And I told you, before mean and after mean, the probability is same, that is equal to 1 by 2. So if I divide this function into two parts, from minus infinite to 0 and from 0 to infinite, then we get two parts, and from minus infinite to 0 is equal to 0 to infinite, so this will be divided by 2. Now 2 gets cancelled with 2. This is equal to exponential, okay, this is equal to 1 divided by, sorry, I did one mistake here. We had 2, but 1 divided by under root 2 pi sigma square exponential x square is equal to 1. 2 should not be in the denominator, so this should be equal to 1 divided by 2. So here we get 1. Now this is the distribution function, Gaussian distribution function. So this will be 1 by 2. Now if I this was equal to minus infinite to infinite. Now I am changing the limits from 0 to infinite. Let's compare these two functions, this function with this function. How we will compare? Sigma is equal to 2, so 1 divided by 2 pi 2 square. If 2 square is multiplied in the denominator, in the numerator we have to also multiply with 2 square under root. Under root 2 square is 2 only, so this is same. Now exponential minus x minus 0 whole square divided by 2 into 2 square. Okay, this is the function. Now this is similar to this, but there is one problem. We have to integrate. Here we have 2 also, so suppose this is I here, 2 is in the denominator here. Okay, now this is a Gaussian distribution function. Similarly, now if I integrate from minus infinite to infinite, means fx is integrated from minus infinite to infinite, this is equal to 1. This is the property that we are aware with. But this is not equal to this function. Okay, the limits are from minus infinite to infinite, and also here is 2 square. So what we have to do here, take the limits from 0 to infinite. If we make the limits from 0 to infinite, the answer will be 1 by 2. Why? Because since this Gaussian distribution function, the mean is at 0, so the maximum value will be at 0, and the probability on the left hand side and the probability on the right hand side will be same, and this will be equal to 1 by 2. So if I make the limits from 0 to infinite, the limits will be 1 by 2 only. Okay. Now this 2 square under root is in the under root, so this will become 2 outside. Okay. Now let's cut 2 with 2. We get 1 divided by 2 pi under root 0 to infinite exponential minus x square divided by 8 is equal to 1. I have wrote down this step. This will confuse you. Leave it. Just compare this. 1 divided by under root 2 pi 0 to infinite exponential minus x square divided by 8 is equal to 1, because 2 gets cancelled with 2, we get 1, and this was asked in the question only. So the answer is equal to 1. This is a little bit confusing, because once we have to multiply with 2, once we have to divide with 2, then it gets hodgepodge. But if you do it in the pen and copy, then easily you can get the answer as 1. You just have to be little bit careful. So that's it from this lecture. In the next lecture we will see the previous year questions of the probability. Okay.